Welcome back as always, everyone. Today we will be going through another one of my favorite episodes that deals with anger, and another one that takes Jack into the deep sea. I hope all of you are ready, so let's get into it. Alright, we begin with Jack walking into a bar, and sure enough, everyone has a problem with him, because he has a bounty on his head. And you can just see in Jack's face that he does not want to deal with these guys today.
Better finish that drink quick.
Now, it's my problem.
Jack, of course, easily deals with them and makes his way on out. He then runs into a furry, woolly-looking dude who destroys his hat. He again easily deals with him, but then has to fight a cyborg baboon man who actually has some skill.
Come on, man.
He beats him, and then a bear and a centipede bounty hunter show up, with even this guy from Dexter's lab showing up.
Who is this nigga?
With him beating them and just raging out from all of this. With Aku watching, mad that none of them can beat him. But he then has an idea: the only thing that can beat Jack is himself. Which we cut back to Jack just yelling out,
Who else wants some?
Man, I love that line delivery. And then his sandal breaks. So this angers him even more, and he throws it at one of the electrical bounty posters, with Aku using that to manifest Mad Jack, who I will be referring to as just Mad. But he is polite enough to explain that he is Jack's darker self, and his only goal is to destroy him. And I love their little back and forth before they begin fighting.
What sorcery is this? Who are you?
Don't be such a fool. I'm you.
If you are me, then who am I?
Oh, you're so stupid. You are you also.
But as they fight, Jack keeps giving into his anger more and more, with the sparks from their sword clashes starting a forest fire. And it gets to the point where you almost can't tell the difference between the two. And oh my goodness, again, Phil LaMarr has some great screams here. Just listen to them. During their fighting, Jack finally sees his own reflection and is appalled at his own actions. And he finally realizes that he can't win this battle through fighting, so he steps back with his hair falling down and him fixing it back up, telling Mad that he no longer exists because Jack has let go of the anger and hatred that was inside of him. And we see Mad basically dissipate with that realization. But I have to show this one scene of Mad charging him because this was just comedy gold. So we end the episode with Jack looking up to the sky, telling Aku his tricks are starting to annoy him. For voice acting this episode, I don't have anything to say since there's no significant new ones. But before I go on to the main subject of Mad Jack, I do want to talk about all the bounty hunters. With the ones in the bar basically being nothing special, the Wookiee one just being a little funny. The cyborg ape had a interesting fighting style and wasn't just a simple one-shot, with him being my favorite. The bear was just a musclehead that got scared off. Then I looked up the Dexter's Laboratory character, and his name is Huntor, who played the same character in that series, being a skilled hunter throughout the universe. As a kid, I thought it was cool that there was a small crossover between the shows. And the last one was the centipede robot, which Jack had some trouble with because it slightly countered him, being able to split into multiple segments. Now let's talk about Mad Jack. This was an actually good plan on Aku's part, using Jack's anger and frustration to conjure up a being that would feed off of that. With that being getting stronger the more he gives into his negative emotions. And Jack apparently thought he could just bulldoze his way out of the problem by just striking him down, and as we saw, it did not work, with Mad just constantly taunting and goading him to keep fighting. with the fight getting to the point that Jack's world was burning down around him, with him not caring and just wanting to take out all of his anger. And we see that towards the end, we can barely see the difference between the two, with the only telling mark being Mad's eye bags. Jack eventually sees that he is no longer in control of himself, being no different than his darker self, and comes to the realization that if Mad is all of his anger made manifest, he has to let it go and let calmness wash over him. So he just steps back, relaxes, and puts his hair back up, calming his mind, and tells Mad that this fight is over, since he has now purged all of the emotions that created him, putting his emotions back in their place and becoming a stronger person for doing so. So Aku's plan backfired on him, but like I said, it wasn't a bad one, at least this time. We open up on Jack at a fishing port, listening to a sailor talk about how he caught a creature called a Triceratops, who he let go. But it did tell him that its people had an underwater city that has a time machine in it. So this of course piques Jack's interest, and he goes off to sail for it. He runs into rough waters and gets knocked out by his ship. He is then luckily swallowed by a fish that he can breathe in that transports him to an underwater city. He sneaks around for a bit until he is greeted by the Triceratops, and they tell him their city is named Oceanus. They invite him to dinner, with Jack being pleasantly surprised since they are serving fish, which reminds him of sushi. They tell him that they once lived on the surface, but when the ominous he came, he banished them to the bottom of the ocean. Jack tells them his backstory, with them saying that they do have a time machine that he can use, but he should get some rest while they prepare everything. We cut to later on when it's time for Jack to use it, with the Triceratops looking a bit apprehensive, but they quickly trap Jack, telling him that they needed to do this, and that it'll all end soon. They then summon Aku, who is elated that they have done what he asked, and instead of just crushing Jack, he just punctures a small hole in his ball so he can watch him slowly drown. They then ask Aku to hold up his part of the bargain, and of course he says,
You thought!
of course, now being betrayed, they send waves of armies after him, which he easily deals with. They get ready to run, but one of them points out that they should save Jack. After saving him, Jack convinces them to turn back, because he has the only weapon that can truly defeat Aku. So they launch him towards him, and he spears Aku all the way through, causing him to flee and saving everyone there. Some of the parts of their city resurface, with them just basking in the sunset they haven't seen in such a long time. And they of course feel ashamed of what they did to Jack, but he forgives them, saying that such an evil being like Aku can twist even the purest of hearts. They also admit that there was never a time machine, but ask him if there's anything else they can do to help him, with him asking for one small favor. And we see at the end of the episode he asks for more of their sushi since it reminds him of his home, and he happily eats it as we cut to black. Alright, first I want to talk about the Triceratops, and they all actually have names, with me as a kid always liking the accents the voice actors gave them, which is basically making them sound like the Beatles, I think, with a British/English accents. With all of their names being references to actual people, I'll let you guys go and search that up for yourselves though. Gwynnis, which is the red Triceratops, is voiced by Mark Hamill, who I did not recognize here, which is surprising. Of course, I expect you guys to know who he is, but some of his famous voice acting roles are multiple forms of the animated Joker, Skeleton King from Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, Firelord Ozai from Avatar The Last Airbender, and Skips from Regular Show. Connery, who was the one who showed Jack his gills, is voiced by Jeff Bennett, another famous voice actor that we have gone over before. And Ringo, the other purple one, is voiced by Jess Harnell, who has voiced Wacko from Animaniacs, Jerry from Totally Spies, and Cedric from Sophia the First. Now on to the topic of them as characters. I thought they were pretty decent. They were just people who were desperate to gain at least some freedom by negotiating with their dictator, Aku. Which I was just thinking, when he betrayed them, why did they think they could fight back against him? I mean, good try overall, but it was a dumb thing to do. And I like when they walk, their heads stay the same while their bodies move similar to some birds like chickens. Aku this time around let his cruelty get the better of him, because he could have just crushed Jack and be done with it, but he wanted to watch Jack slowly drown. And he should have made sure Jack was dead before betraying the Triceratops, because, as we saw, that was his undoing. And he turned into some sea creatures this episode, with the first being some weird sea monster that has eyes and tentacles sprouting out of the sand. If this is an actual thing, please let me know. Then he was a stingray, which he used to send shockwaves at them. And finally a squid that looks kind of scary, with I think the eye bags being the thing that makes it scary for me. A nice showing as always for him. Then Jack, who was tricked into going to the city, which was a decent twist that they semi-hinted at when they told him their backstory, and laid it on thick in the scene where they trapped him. And I liked that he was able to truly inspire them to believe in him, because he knew that they were good people that would repay the trust he had in them. But besides that, that's about it for this episode. I do hope you all enjoyed these episodes, and if you did, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to catch when I upload the next review. Also, if you want more Samurai Jack, you can check out the playlist that I made reviewing the previous episodes. I hope you all have a good rest of your day and night, so I will see you guys later. Bye guys.